You want to be a young boss, but your sales are stuck. You're burned out trying to find the right people, and you end up doing all of the work yourself. You're bleeding money, and you're fighting to keep your business afloat. I've been there. I'm Isabel Guarino, and I've scaled businesses to millions, and I've watched ideas burn to the ground. And I know exactly what it takes to survive and win. This is Young Boss, the podcast that helps you break through the barriers standing between you and the business you deserve, where youth is your power. This week's guest grew up in a household where success meant college, a steady 9-to-5, and stability above all else. But Jeanette Miranda always knew she was meant for more. After chasing creativity in the entertainment industry and stepping into motherhood, Jeanette made a bold move. She walked away from building someone else's dream to launch her own. That leap became rooted in her, a sisterhood built on breaking cycles, collaboration over competition, and reminding women that they are already enough. Her story is proof that resilience is born in moments where we feel like quitting, and that passion needs boundaries to survive, and that your experience is your greatest superpower. Let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Jeanette. So excited that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Tell me a little bit about your journey as a young boss. I know you started in the entertainment industry very young. So tell me everything that got you to where you are now.
So to me, it was always about breaking the cultural expectations, right? Being Hispanic and coming from a household that they would tell me you have to have the traditional 9-to-5, to secure your life, right? Like cannot, even if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to make sure you never leave your 9-to-5. You have to go to college. I've always felt that I was meant for more. I did my 9-to-5. I worked in corporate America for 8 years, but I always found myself like on my days off or like on weekends working in the entertainment industry where I pursue the modeling, acting, the singing aspirations that I had at the time. And to me, it was like really breaking that cultural expectation of my family, letting them know, I get it that we have to follow this path, but I'm meant for so much more. Like I have this calling within me that I don't want to be stuck in the 9-to-5, right? Like I want to pursue my dreams. So that brought me to eventually, make it in the entertainment industry until I became a mom. And then that's where my community building took off.
Yeah, that's amazing. Did your family, how was their support, or how did their view on everything you were doing change along the way? Or has it not changed? Are they still kind of hesitant?
So at the beginning, it was that belief of like, yes, I'm going to support you, but just be careful, right? Or if I asked for a day off from work, right? It was like, well, but make sure you don't post about it, talk about it, because what if they fire you, right? So it's like, just make sure that you don't leave that secure job. And then now it's when I can tell you they fully support me, and they're actually after like my aspirations and my dreams of like, yes, you go do that, right? You keep building what you're building, because they're seeing the fruit of it. But also they've noticed that I'm just not a quitter, and I am very firm, right? And like when I believe in something, especially now having kids, like I want to break that stigma. Like I want to let them know, like if you want to go to college, that's great. But if you don't and you want to launch a business, that's fine too, right? So I know that it started with me. So I had to break.
It's really interesting because we had a guest on a couple weeks back, and she was saying how her 9-to-5 like watches her social media and watches what she's putting out about her entrepreneurship journey. And it's so interesting because when your family's saying, hey, watch out, they might do this. It's like, no, businesses really are doing that. That is so upsetting to me from an entrepreneurial background that people they're clocking what you're doing after hours and genuinely judging based off of that. So like, even though you might have thought, oh, my family's advice, they're just being crazy right now. No, there's really companies that do that. And that is so upsetting. I feel like we need to stop that.
Yeah, especially, and now having the community building that I have with my girls, I've noticed that they are like, hey, if we did a recording or we did an interview or we're somewhere and they ask for it off, they're like, hey, I'm going to repost where you tag me later after work. And that really hits hard, right? Because I'm like, wow, like I get it, because they have to secure what they currently have right now. But it's like, we are not like, this is a new era, right? Where I feel like technology is blooming. And, now I get it with content creations, influencers, like there's so many opportunities now aside from a 9-to-5 that I feel like more businesses should support, because at the end it can also benefit them. It's not about the employee not being with them anymore, but what can this era, this generation now bring to the table?
Absolutely. Okay, you have a bunch of different things that you're doing now with Rooted in Her, Divas Local. Tell us about your businesses right now.
Oh, absolutely. So with Divas Loco, I actually took a step down from that.
Okay.
And I would love to incorporate my reasons why, because Rooted in Her has always been the foundation, right? I built Rooted in Her based on my identity shift a couple years ago, right? When I became a mom, I felt okay, the entertainment industry has been great. I still have my connections. I still have the passion within me, but it's not really where I see myself anymore. And I had to now shift of like, what can I do that I'm still passionate about? Like listen to my calling, but also get to continue to be present for my two boys and continue to provide for our future, right? So that's when Rooted in Her started. It was through that identity shift of like, okay, my becoming of like who I was to who I am and who I'm becoming in the process. And I said, if there's so many women out there like feeling this way and I'm feeling this way, there's not really a community of like supporting us through those seasons. So I decided to build it.
I love
And
it.
thank you. And that's when Rooted in Her really came to life. I started with just monthly events, eventually quarterly because it was just too much for me to do all by myself. Eventually, I took a year off, and that was the hardest thing that I did, but my mental health, right? I was building a community and I wasn't doing it for the finance at the time, but I was investing more into it, my energy, funds, so many things that I was pouring into, and I felt like I was draining inside because everybody was taking advantage, right? And I'm sure you can understand of like my connections, my support, pictures, videos, collaboration, and then I felt like everybody was winning except me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like, you can keep sharing more about that, but I feel like burnout is just such a real thing. But then, especially in your space where you are literally being a support group for women, and no one talks about supporting the supporter and what you need to keep going to be that person at the top to continue to encourage everyone. So, what were you able to do to get back in the game and come back after that year?
So I took the year off and I prayed about it, right? I did a lot of journaling and I said, what is it that I need to do? Like, what is it that I'm passionate about? Like, I know this is what I want, but really I need to make it a business. Like, I can't keep just, because of my kind heart and because of who I am, just everybody's going to take advantage, right? Because that's what also happened. So when I came back, I was offered the opportunity right at the same time of me relaunching my events with Divas Local. And it was pretty much my same concept of hosting events, just with a membership in place. And then I said, wait a minute, that was like my aha moment. Why am I building with my community, with my girls, everything that I've built for so many years, and now I'm pretty much giving it to someone else. Now I'm making this really small percentage, when they are paying their membership, but really this company is winning. And I was only there maybe for 2 to 3 months until I realized I can't let go of what I was placed in my heart, because the reason I left corporate America was because I didn't want to follow someone else's path. And then that's when I'm like, let me just strategize again my game plan. And then now the only thing that I added to Rooted in Her, which now is thriving, is the membership hub. So it's so
Wow.
crazy, right? That sometimes it's like it was in front of me this whole time, but then I saw the members, all the girls transition over. They're like, Jeanette, we're joining because of you. So if it's not under Divas, it's fine. Let's do it under Rooted in Her. Like, that's always been what you preach and your vision, that Divas was just the membership hub, right? And so many beautiful connections that I made because of that, but it made me realize that this was really what I was missing all along.
It's really interesting because sometimes people would think that, hey, partnering up or going a different direction is like a side quest and it's not going to help you get where you're going. But all you needed was to see that one thing, probably see a little bit of the inner working, understand the financials of it. And then you're like, duh. And now you could bring it back. And it almost ends up being part of your path. Because if you didn't go that direction, You might still be spinning your wheels stuck saying, I don't know where to go or how to make this lucrative. So when it comes to having that membership component, did you have to like raise capital to start this business, or were you able to kind of fund it on your own? How did you get started financially building Rooted in Her?
So when I started Rooted in Her, I did a lot of out-of-pocket investments. I did do a lot of collaboration. I knew that in the beginning I had to follow my mission and be able to say out loud my vision to others, right? So the right people can be attracted to my business. At the time, I also didn't know what it was going to take off to be what it is today, right? I'm like, okay, let's start with events, sharing our stories, connecting women. Like, I want us to feel that we're not alone, that we're being seen. And then eventually it was like speaking engagements and like more opportunity that came about building communities. And then today is building that foundation that I was missing, which is the membership hub that they pay on a monthly basis. And then also all the collaborations that now I'm making. So now it's like I am a paid speaker, right? Now it's like people want me in their platform. And now the collaboration comes with finance as well. It's not much of a freebie anymore. But I also thought it took a lot of years of that, right? Until burnout and then restructure. We tend to give up at the first year thinking, well, this is not it for us. That's totally fine. I saw your stories earlier and I agree with you, right? Like there's that moment in time and place that you feel in your heart. It's time to let go of a certain project. And then there's also knowing that if this is the path that you want ahead, it's not going to be easy. Like what happened Rooted in Her. It's going to take time, but maybe what I was lacking was that structure in place that I didn't have in the beginning.
Are you still doing this all on your own, or do you have a team? Do you have employees now?
I currently now have 2 employees. And I'm
Okay,
so
awesome.
I do have somebody, it's like my VP, right? Like my right hand, who's been helping me with ideas and coordinating, gatherings and quarterly events. And then I also have somebody as a VA that's helping me with pretty much everything that I need in-house. Because again, as wearing multiple hats, as a mom and a wife, it's really hard. And I don't want to get to that stage of burnout, even though I'm so passionate about this.
Yep. And how do you find new members that are perfect to join your group?
I love first like being loud about our mission and vision, right? The one thing that's really working is hosting the monthly events, because I am in collaboration with this local business here in Miami, and they were like, hey, let's collaborate. I don't pay for the venue, but then they get marketing, they get tags, right? We end up getting appetizers and drinks, and we really make it like a girls' night. So a lot of people who come through the event base, it's either a referral, word of mouth of somebody that's a member. It's like, you have to join us, right? Like, come check it out. Or on Eventbrite, I open the doors for everyone to come that one night to get the feels of what this membership is about without really selling it, right? Because at the end of the day, I feel like the right people would join. Like, I'm not here like targeting everybody with like a dollar signal, right? Or like, hey, you have to, like, this is the membership base. I just want them to feel welcome, supported. And then we get into the conversation of like, you want to join our community, this is what you get and this is how you join. But that has been working for me, the whole in-person events.
Hey, it's Isabel from Young Boss, and if you have loved getting to hear from our incredible guests on the show, what are you waiting for? Go check out the amazing directory on the youngbosspodcast.com. We've listed all of their information, where you can find them, and more about their business, and so many of them want to connect with other amazing young bosses just like you, or they want to work with you. So go check it out right now, say hi, give them a follow, and make sure that you watch all of our guest episodes, because we really have incredible young bosses on this show. And if you're looking to get on the show too, then make sure you leave us a comment so that we can connect with you as well. Check out the show notes for that directory or head to theyoungbosspodcast.com. Now, back to the show.
It's interesting because you have such a unique and special group, it's almost like they do need to meet you and some of the girls and get the vibe and understand if this is right for them. Where are you at with memberships right now, and where do you want to be? Like, what's the goal for a year or 5 years down the line?
So right now, it's when we're transitioning, we transition a lot of our members from the divas which were my initially to now rooted in her. So I have about to hit right now 50 members.
Awesome.
So excited. And then a lot of my members that I'm still transitioning to pay members are part of my Facebook group, which is over 750 members.
Amazing.
There. And right now, my goal is to continue, to inspire, to continue to help each other. I always say that it's about the quality, not the quantity, right? Even if I had 5 members, I would have been okay, because right now, this is all I've been praying for. What I wanted to is getting that recognition and that support financially so I can continue to pour into them, right? Because I've also given them opportunities like articles and radio stations, and all my connections that I always believed that wasn't for nothing, right? Now,
Yep.
because of that foundation of who I used to be, I'm able to bring it out to the girls so they can get that support system. And the long term, I do see myself with a big conference. Like I want to host conference for women to like bring panelists to speak and pour into them, get workshops and support women-owned businesses. That was the foundation of when I started Rooted in Her too at my events, because I feel that they don't get the support they deserve. And most of them quit before they make a year because of the lack of support.
So who would you say is the perfect member for Rooted in Her?
Somebody that's ambitious, that it's willing to learn, to get uncomfortable, to really create a sisterhood with no competition. It's very important, right? That understands the foundation of collaboration, of being vulnerable with one another, of understanding there's respect and loyalty, right? But really is for women of all walks of life through any season that they're going through, whether it's personal or professional, to get the support that they need in that current situation of life.
I love it. What would you say for women who feel like they're not enough? What would you want to tell them?
They are enough. They're worthy. That they have to remind themselves of who they are. Sometimes we carry multiple roles, multiple hats, regardless of you're a mom or you work a 9 to 5, you're a wife, you go to school. We don't give each other enough credit, right? We always are comparing ourselves to social media, that influencer, right? The people that are around you, which that matters too. So I would just tell them that they are worthy, they are enough, and pat themselves on the back. The more that they recognize their worth, the bigger and the greater they can become.
I love that. When it comes to women's groups, I think a lot of times there is this like emphasis on almost feeling less than, and feeling like we're the minority and no one can support us. And it can get almost negative really quickly. But also I think that women nowadays, we have opportunities that we've never had before. And if you like stop thinking of all the negative and just start focusing on the positive, it's almost like we've been given a gift that no one before us has ever had. And I do think the power of us being together, helping one another up, lifting each other up that ladder is the key to success. Because what you said, comparing, I think that's one of the worst words in a woman's dictionary, because we all compare ourselves so hard, and it's so negative and it's so bad. And it's like the number one thing that will stop your success and stop your growth, I think, is trying to judge yourself versus anyone else. We all have different sizes of plates of things we can handle. We all put priorities on different things, and we all are unique and special in our own ways. And the best thing we can do is to raise each other up and not be focused on the negative and comparing. And I think it's just so crazy how that has become I think we actually keep ourselves going down by doing those things, by focusing on the negative.
Yeah, and it goes back to us. We have to break that cycle, right? We have to break that mold, because we all preach like, lifting each other's crown and helping each other. But really, are you that supporter, right?
Yeah.
Are you really encouraging your friends? Are you standing up for what you believe in? And I think that's where we lack the most, right? That we have all this power within us and all this things that we're capable of achieving, but we are not ready to like step in or surround ourselves. Because I think that's a huge factor, is surrounding yourself with the right people.
I know you said you want quality over quantity. do you think that when it comes to growing and scaling, like, do you foresee this becoming different branches all over the US and a bunch of different groups? Like, what do you see as the vision for Rooted in Her?
That was beautiful that you said that because I got goosebumps. I just had a dream about it too. And I envision it being like chapters created in different cities, right? Of Rooted in Her, creating that space for women through all seasons of walks of life to remind them that they're not alone, right?
Yep.
And you hear this all the time of women like, oh, I can't find a networking event. Or I say this too. We go to networking events and we just exchange business cards. We never hear back from anyone. We never really follow up or we really want to help each other. We just show up to say, oh, I show up to like 5 networking events, but what do you really gain from them?
Yep.
And it's that building that foundation and remind women, because right now also my membership is virtual, but it hits so much different, right? Having that one-on-one personal touch.
Yep, I fully agree. What's been your biggest like emotional hurdle as a founder? Has there been something, that you've just really had to work through? And I know you talked about having the burnout, but even being back in the game, is there something that you still catch yourself struggling with?
To me, it's really the kindness of my heart. I sometimes want to have we have the thought of just maybe, this person means well, is this person with good intentions? Because working with women is tough.
Yep.
Especially all of us have different emotions and we're going through different challenges of life. So you really have to have that strong character as a mentor to understand that you're going to be dealing with different characters. So I really get emotional, or really gets to me that one person that might betray me or that might say something negative or might feel a certain way when it's out of my control, right? Then all the good stuff that are happening. And that's something that I'm working on, knowing that, I don't have to stop being kind and stop being vulnerable because of someone, that one person that might not feel like they belong in this community or that they're not getting the support they deserve. That's their outcome. That's their way of beliefs, right? But it's me understanding that I can't take it personal all the time, because if I can try to fix the situation or find like there might be something that I did wrong or somebody said or, kind of fix it, that's what I'm all in. But it takes two, like in a relationship, right? Like it takes two to make it happen and to see eye to eye. So to me, it's been really understanding that, not taking things personal. And if I want to continue to grow and expand, it's just going to keep getting harder. And I have to be okay with that. And I need to start working on that today.
Yeah. It is such a struggle, I think, especially in early stages of any business, because it's your baby. And then when someone doesn't like it, or in turn like you, if you're the mentor or coach and you've poured and poured and you're doing the same thing for them that you're doing for everyone else, but it's just not working, it is so hard to not take it offensively. It's so hard. Like, to this day, if I get a negative review or negative comment, like, yes, I can try to be like, oh, block, oh, ignore, oh, they're not the right fit. No, like it does hurt your feelings. And I don't know if it will ever not hurt your feelings. Like, I really don't know how to become calloused to that. And honestly, I don't know if I want to become calloused to that, because if I do, then I'm not even actually listening to the negative review. And what if there is a little ounce of validity in it? What if there's a little bit of truth in the 10 things they say that they don't like about you or the business? Okay, but 2 of those things, yeah, I probably could do better at those, So it's almost like I take offense, because I know that with every single complaint, there's a tiny bit of truth and there's something I can work on and I can get better at. But I take it to heart like, oh no, it's so hard.
I know. And that happens to me. And I feel like, why? Like, why am I letting this one person or one thing situation like get the best out of me, right? Like why? Like, if I'm having a great day, I have so much going on. But that's who we are. And like you said, like, I don't want to take that away. I just want to be able to get better at recognizing those patterns and understanding that, we're going to have those conflicts or just people in and out of our lives, just like in our personal life, that sometimes we question why, but it's also those seasons that mark us, right? Like the people that thanks to their walks in our lives, we learn something now that we can change or we can add on.
Yep, I agree. And yeah, it's one of those things, like, you don't want to be ignorant to it, but you also don't want to feel it so bad that it's like debilitating. So there's a balance. If you had one piece of advice for a young boss in your life, someone who's younger, they're getting started in whatever business it would be, and they're saying, hey, from everything you've learned, from everything you've accomplished, what advice do you have for them today?
I would tell them that their fresh perspective and boldness is huge. Not to be afraid to dream big or to break cycles, to be allowed to pursue their own dreams and not have to question their worth every step of the way. Because sometimes I feel that we tend to share our dreams and our aspirations with the wrong people. And those people tend to break us, right? Or tend to take away the vision that was placed in your heart. And then you start questioning yourself. So I would always say to just be bold. It's within you. It's rooted in you for a reason, right? If it doesn't work out, that's fine too. There's something that you're going to learn or someone you're going to meet along the way that it was meant to happen just like that. But be careful also who you surround yourself with and who you share those dreams and aspirations with, because it can even make you or it could break you. And
I love that.
That's powerful.
Yep. And I think that word boldness is very much like who you are and what you stand for. And I feel like I see that when I'm, engaging with your content or just viewing what's going on. I think that you really encourage women to live in the boldness and the truth of who they are. And you do it by example, by saying, hey, like we can do this and we can do this together. And that's how we grow harder and faster and stronger. And so thank you for your boldness, because I think that a lot of women want to be small, be, more meek and say like, oh, let me just keep going and have my little success over here. And you're like proud about it and proud of everything that you do. And I encourage you in that space to keep going because it's beautiful. And I think more women need to have that boldness. So amazing job with everything you do.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And I want to just piggyback right real quick on what you just shared, because one of the things that made me even more passionate about creating this too is we always, again, compare ourselves, but then we feel, because we don't know our stories and our struggle, that we all had it hand to us, right? Oh, maybe she has it easy, or maybe it's her looks, or maybe she has someone that hook her up, right? And that's why I think there's power in us sharing our story, but also our journey, not just the good stuff, but also the bad ones.
Yep.
Because that's really what's going to start breaking those cycles of other women walking in that purpose and that journey and saying, well, she did it and she went through this and that. I can do it too. And there's also power in that we don't realize, but we're so scared of like being vulnerable that we cut ourselves short.
Yeah, it's so true that there's really times where it is time to share the celebration and where you got where you are, and other times where it's like we have to share the struggles that we went through. I was at a mastermind this last weekend and a guy got up on stage and he was basically sharing with the entire audience how his investment failed. And at first I thought, oh, why are they having this guy do this? And then I thought, this is the best session we've had all weekend long. Because if we don't share that, then everyone in the room, when you're failing, you feel alone. And it's important for us to not just like in private conversations share about the failure, but literally publicly say, hey, I messed up. I tried my hardest. I did this, and this is how I solved it. This is how I got through. But man, it was really, really rough. And that is worthy of a stage presentation. At first, I'm like, oh my gosh, no. And then I was like, oh, wait, this is the most powerful thing.
Yep, 100%. And then that's the power of storytelling that I always tell my girls is, they focus about selling their product and their service, but there's so much power on selling yourself. And that's with just being vulnerable about sharing your story, your mission, your vision, and being loud about it and your struggles, because people can relate to that. Not just on like, yes, I'm looking for the service. Okay, I'm going to hire you. Yes, but what makes you different from the rest? And it goes back to being vulnerable about those stages of life that you're not loud about because you don't want to look like a failure. No, that's actually what's going to encourage someone. You're planting that seed for someone else that's needing those words of encouragement, especially in today's world with technology.
Oh, yeah. Okay, listen, if anyone here wants to follow you or join Rooted in Her, where do they find out more?
Absolutely. They can follow Rooted in Her, which is rootedin.her. Also, I am Jeanette Miranda's Instagram. I have all the links on my page, and then also the direct link to our membership hub, which is $47 a month. And they get everything from virtual to in-person, connections, collaborations, chats, support, masterminds, and the whole nine. And I'm so honored to have been here today. So thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. It was really fun. We will leave all of those links in the show note right there, guys. So go check it out. And thanks for listening to another episode of Young Boss. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. We'll see you next time. Youth is your power.